Those crazy feelings, they're a natural part of your awakening process. And while it is COVID-19 time and we are in lockdown right now, it's important to know that if you're feeling loopy and you're feeling suicidal, which is a separate video, please go and look at that if you're having those dark thoughts, please, because a lot of people are now going to that place because of what's going on. This is serious stuff, as is the feeling crazy. So I'm going to go to a legacy video before I made the Laws of Grace online course, where it will step you through how to deal with this stuff, how to cope with it. There's meditations there to help you go through that healing process. Know that the crazy feelings and that you're a little bit nutty and all that sort of stuff is very, very natural. This is just the 2020 update. Enjoy this video with me down at the beach. And by the way, right before I started that video, a humpback whale breached right at the beach, right where I was about to record. Just missed it. Enjoy the video, re-watch it. If you're having issues, make contact. Check out the correct presence practice course, which is just entry level on how to do this properly. It will change you so fast, it's unbelievable. And then there's the full Laws of Grace online course, where it's so exact we can give you a mathematical outcome in terms of how long it'll take for you to reach various levels of awakening. And if you don't do it, it's because you're not following through on the multipliers and everything we talk about in that course. So enjoy those, enjoy the beautiful beaches. Let's talk about those feelings of you're going insane, you think you're nuts, you don't know what's right, what's wrong, and that you can't trust your mind, and all those sorts of things in relation to the awakening process, because it's quite an important thing. And if you're getting those crazy feelings, it can actually be a good sign. It doesn't mean you're going nuts. It is literally part of the psychological process you go through as you undo that which isn't real. So I'm Jason for AwakenedEssence.com. When you are in the process of undoing psychological aspects or psychological parts of yourself, and you are moving into new ground, quite often you might get the crazy nut feeling, am I going bonkers? Am I going insane? Can I trust my mind? Is this right? So that is part of, this is how I see it, this is how I've experienced it. It's literally part of where you are growing to a new place and you are hitting the boundaries of your known self. And as a self, i.e. ego, not the self with the big S that's everything and nothingness, the psychological self has boundaries around where it's comfortable, where it feels safe, where it can exist. When you get close to those boundaries, the defensive mechanism kicks in and you try and protect what is. So in nature, everything fights for survival. The plankton fight for survival. These bushes fight for survival in different ways so they don't get eaten. The insects and things that eat those bushes fight for survival because something bigger is trying to eat it. And we go to nature to relax. But it's just full on trying to survive and trying not to be murdered and eaten and all those things out there in nature. So, you have your psychological you, the person that's on the driver's license, who is used to this. Now, for you to grow as a spiritual being and come home to your unity, what is that? It means that's gone. You are all this. But you can only perceive that by having one of these. This is the dichotomy. So when you get to these edges of this, and you're going into new places, you may get that crazy, you feel like going nuts, that you're going to lose your mind, all those things. I quite often have had it through the years when I'm about to run a workshop, or I'm about to put a workshop out there, or even after I've had a far out amazing, grace-filled workshop where magic happened, I'd still get the crazies. Because this had been shattered and become something more bigger, but also more permeable to the isness. So that's where this crazy nut feeling might come into it. Of course, if you're really not coping with it, get professional help. Seriously. Some people do lose their marbles, and they do end up in institutions because they can't function properly with the psychological self being disbanded. So that's for you and the people you know and professionals to make that decision. So just know that when you're coming to these parts, if that comes through, it is part of the process. Just stick with your practice. Again, notice your breathing, your hands, hear the sounds of the sea and whatever's going on in your environment, and notice how many different layers of subtlety you can experience: the stillness, the peace, the space that holds pain, emotions, thoughts. Where's that chattering head? Be defined about it. Where is it? And you will learn that you're not this and its silly, crazy thoughts. Oh, I'm going nuts. It just wants to make sure its own survival, because if it keeps in control, well, that's its thought. Its thought is it's going to die if you become enlightened and be aware of the nothingness that you are. And that's the funny thing, is it doesn't actually die. You still have your personality, you still have your chattery mind. You know where it fits in. It's just a very small thing in a much bigger thing. And you accept it. Some days it's good, some days it's dead quiet. But if you're having that nutty, crazy, I'm going crazy stuff going on, what parts are you feeling? Are you practicing this? I do this in all the videos to help you anchor and grow your practice. That's why these videos are here. Listen to them. That's why they're here. Activate. Watch these videos when you're doing dishes. Activate. Feel your hands, feel the dishes, notice the space, feel what's going on in your body. Notice the subtler layers of stillness and presence as you do the dishes. And you can do that in more complex things, like in the work environment. And then more complex things after that, having an argument. Being aware of the space while your emotions and your humanness still operates. But at those times when you feel like you're going a little bit crazy, practice, hold that space. If you look at the inquiry pages, I'll talk about when you start looking at certain things, and when you have a mentor or someone like me in your life who gives you stuff to look at, when you start delving into that and you're looking at this fresh part, this fresh behavior, this fresh belief pattern, or whatever it is you're looking at, sometimes these parts are very, very resistant to give up what they are doing, even if it is a detrimental behavior to you and you know it's detrimental. It's doing that because of the survival mechanism. It's doing that to help keep you safe, alive, protected, and all those good things, even though the outcome may mean, you lose your job or your friends or your relationship or, destructive behavior patterns, drugs, whatever, Its own rational thinking is this is good. And when you start challenging that, it goes through the crazy phase. There will be a bit there, and depending on what sort of behavior pattern it is or how close it is to your conscious capacity to work with it, you may go through the crazy phase with that, where it really doesn't know what's right and wrong anymore. It starts to see, oh, maybe what I'm doing wasn't so good. Maybe putting my fists through the wall is probably not the best activity to be doing, as an example. Okay? Smoking, whatever. It will go through that as it tries to realign with reality, a better reality. You will get the crazy bit, maybe. Not always, but it can happen. So that's how this fits. It's you being, as a conscious being, choosing the stillness and the space and the presence that you are, and as best as you can, getting in touch with the deeper real you, which is the nothingness that allows everything to be. Notice those words. Allows everything to be, which includes the nutty feelings, includes the behaviours, the acceptance of them, because once they're truly seen, this aspect of your psychology that's invested all this time, effort, resources and learning will undo and come home to the real you and empower the real you in the stillness, and you will have greater behavioural flexibility, greater control, greater capacity to enter the stillness when all these little parts come home. Going through the crazies, I'm nuts. Maybe part of that, might not be, but you will face it repeatedly on this long journey, lifetime journey of embodying who you are. Even when you're fully abiding in the enlightened place, you may still get crazies. Well, I do. It's not such a problem. I know what it is. So therefore I don't get freaked out about it. It's just like, oh, okay, another part of me is coming through. And it usually does afterwards. Like something more unified, more peaceful, more durable, more able to cope with crap situations is there with me once I've been through that crazy bit. And it's like a crab, you know, crabs molt their shells, don't they? And then there's a shell floating off and there's a soft shell crab that the stingrays like to eat. If you watch the David Attenborough movies, programs, right? You're a soft shell crab and then you grow a bit bigger and you get another shell. So each time you shed one of these parts, you're shedding a shell, like a snake skin is another example. Or a spider skin. Anything that's got an exoskeleton, in order to grow, it's got a shed. So you shed these and you might get the crazies as part of it. That's fine. There is another type of crazy, and it probably should be in a different video, but that's a result of doing things like drugs. Talking about some of those in the What is Awakening Not page. It's not Kundalini, it's certainly not crazy shit like ayahuasca. When you are fully abiding in the enlightened place where you have instant connection and know that you are the nothingness that is everything, and you're still a human being and you're still in your body, you will still have crap to heal. So ask yourself the question, why do you think taking some nasty herbs and drugs and stuff that does revolting stuff to your body by some supposed shaman person who you're paying money to take you through a spiritual experience that's going to change your life? Even when you're enlightened, you're still going to have to learn how to go through the healing process and deal with the crazies like I've just talked about. But things like drugs, and I've talked to people that have done this, they have, yes, you have those experiences because of the chemicals and what it does to your energy system. You can have amazing, amazing spiritual experiences and visuals and thises and thatties and unities and all that sort of stuff. But what it can do is it can blow that door open and it leaves you with this incredibly strong desire to go back there, and then you get hooked into the drugs, or you just don't feel that unity anymore, and that drives you into the suicide stuff. Just did a video on that. Go and find that if you're feeling like you're wanting to yourself. Drugs will open those doorways, can open those doorways, and they can psychologically damage you if your structures aren't sound enough. So as part of this crazy process I'm talking about, these are here to keep you safe. If you bust them open by force, by doing drugs, because when you do drugs you actually lose conscious control, or by going to things like cults and super duper mega crazy initiation processes where you're actually not consciously choosing and not consciously in control, you can blow parts of your psychology and you will end up in the loony bin, or you will spend the rest of your life in a really horrible place. And I know a few people that are in that really horrible place because of drugs. That's why I don't recommend them. Find your enlightenment first, learn how to abide there, and then see what takes the stillness away. Then play with drugs and see if it'll do it or not. If it's real, it won't. This is true. Same with alcohol. Won't take your stillness away. It'll just give you the effect of being drunk while you're still. That's why some people are angry when they're really drunk, because that's what's the bulk of their consciousness is suppressed anger. They get angry, and what happens is they act out. Yeah, if you're going to get married to someone, get them really shit-faced drunk and see how they behave, because that's what you'll be dealing with after you're married, right? So, the crazies, Drugs, stay away from drugs. Not going to help. Ayahuasca isn't going to help, and people that think that just, they won't listen to this video anyway. They don't help. Practicing being aware of the space, tummy breathing, feet, noticing the space. Notice when this crazy feeling happens. So if you're doing your journal, go and watch the journal videos, start doing a journal. You will notice when these things pop through, and if you're writing and you're putting in what the topics are, you'll go back in a month or two later, crazy feeling working through this. My life now had a similar situation, or how I behaved, my presence, my capacity to navigate that situation as a human being in life was a lot more whole. Whole as in wholeness, and also still as in stillness. You can be a whole human being and not have a clue about enlightenment or stillness or even live there, but you can be a very flowy, happy, content person. Doesn't mean you're spiritually there though, because it is conscious, as I say in all these videos. So are you choosing? What are you aware of? How many layers of the stillness, the presence, the space, physical space, gross space, etheric space, and the lower ones to the nothing? Notice how many layers you can be aware of. Tune by practice. So be aware of that. No, it's part of the process. Put that in your journal. It is something that happens. It's okay. If you don't think it's okay, go talk to a professional or get in touch. All right? This process can be fast. If you've been on the spiritual path for 5 years and you're not enlightened, then you're not doing something right? Awakening to a fairly advanced degree is fairly quick, 2 to 4 years. To end up in abiding, however long it takes you to get there, add another year or two on. It's just because you've done the hard work. It is hard work. Consciously training yourself to be conscious, it's the hardest thing you'll ever do, unless you go into the Olympics. Thing is with this though, everybody can get a gold medal. That's the difference. You just got to know the laws of grace and apply them and watch the shift, because it is actually quite significantly fast. You follow what's in these videos, you listen to one of these videos every day, do the journaling, notice how you're playing with the laws of grace. I reckon in a year's time you'll look back and go, wow, I am such a different person. Heading towards the no person. Okay? Seriously. Give it 12 months. Notice the difference. If it's not working for you, make contact, because I'd like to know why. Because these laws are immutable. It's so obvious. Why are people not talking about this? It is measurable. How you handle it in life in different situations is measurable. If you're honest and you are responsible for your own practice and yourself, go watch those 2 videos. It's cornerstone aspect of the laws of grace. And there may be a laws of grace video course you can do as well. So I'm Jason from AwakenedEssence.com. If you're feeling nutty, take it as a good sign that you're about to become a bigger person. You're removing your old shell crab, growing into a newer one that's bigger and better.